Hey, happy Friday. You all, we are coming up on the end of another year. Can you believe it? That's insane. I feel like we were just celebrating 2018 like yesterday. But typically, this is the time of year when we start talking about New Year's resolutions. And as always, I've got a few questions for you. What was your resolution for 2018? How did it go? Have you thought about a resolution for 2019? Well, if you've been watching my Friday Food for Thought for any period of time at this point, you've probably figured out that by me posing these questions, I've got a different perspective for you. I want to encourage you to consider ditching the whole idea of a resolution. You might be asking, but why? Brittany, you're all about being a better version of yourself and personal development and growth and self-improvement and reflection with the goal of learning. Well, I'm so glad that you asked me why. You all, it is no secret that at the beginning of the year or at the start of a new month or with each Monday that rolls around, we have really high hopes for ourselves. This week, this month, this year is going to be different. And for some of you, it will be. It actually will be different. But for 80% of you, you'll have forgotten all about that resolution by February. And in my opinion, the reason why is in the word itself. Resolution. Resolve. Fix a problem. Reactive. How are you going to keep the motivation up when it's coming from a position of reaction instead of being proactive? When it's through the lens of what is wrong rather than what could be? So, in my typical fashion, I looked up the most common resolutions for this past year, and the top three were eat better, exercise more, and spend less money. Now, I'm not saying that these are bad things or bad goals to strive for. Obviously, I think most everyone would be happy to accomplish those things. But these things are fleeting. I encourage you to broaden your scope and simplify your approach. I know it sounds contradictory, but hear me out. So, since 2010, I have chosen a word for the year. It gets written on my bathroom mirror every single year, and it stays there all year long. It also becomes the screensaver on my phone for at least 2 months at the beginning of the year. And since I started choosing a word for the year, I have found that I've experienced substantially more growth in all aspects of my life as it relates to that word. And I don't think it's any coincidence. One, it's not based in resolving anything, but rather proactively becoming better. Two, it's much easier to remember a single word rather than a full workout routine or a diet or a budget and all the other changes that you must take in order to bring these things to reality. And third, because a single word can have more than one definition, it has the ability to become ingrained in everyday activity, and with that comes small wins which result in encouragement to keep going. So for example, this year my word was simplicity. And in the last year, with simplicity as my guide, my North Star, I donated more stuff to Goodwill than I ever have before. Stuff that kept moving from me from one home to the next, to the next, to the next, that I really didn't even need. I have cut my overall expenses by about 25%. That's huge, you all. And I have much more enriching and fulfilling relationships because I chose and continue to choose to no longer put energy and effort into those relationships that were complicated. And at the end of the year, while I'm in the midst of choosing a new word for 2019, because simplicity and travel and courage and all the words that came before them have now become a habit, I continue to carry them with me as a part of who I am becoming rather than a resolution representing a moment in time. So take a moment. Pay attention to the messages you receive day in and day out. Sometimes it's direct from someone you love. Sometimes it comes in private reflection. And sometimes it literally comes from a sign you pass on the street. True story. But what is a word that embodies the person you want to become? And I encourage you to choose to take a step towards that every single day in 2019. You'll be amazed at the person you'll be at the end of 2019 compared to where you are now. You all have an awesome weekend. Mwah.